Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's service. Glad to see some new faces here. So before I begin, I want to talk about something that's, I guess, been going on in the modern world. It's about, how can I put this? It's about, I guess, how there's a lot of discrimination. There's a lot of division. There's a lot of divisiveness. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of resentment throughout the world right now. We've been seeing that for decades, I'm sure. You know, it's not the first time in human history where this has happened, and it's going to continue to happen because we're human. And you know, sometimes there's these reminders, right? Reminders of like, what can we do? How can we live our lives better given these circumstances? And so yesterday, during the KCNA conference, KONKO Churches North America conference, they interviewed three elderly ladies, and they experienced the war and the atomic bomb in Hiroshima, Japan, during that time. And they saw the light, they saw the smoke, they saw the devastation. And you know, like war is death and destruction. Nothing good comes out of it. Either side, there's a lot of suffering going on. And what's interesting is that how resilient they are having gone through this kind of trauma. It's just amazing because, you know, they're just the sweetest old ladies there. You know, this is like, they're so kind, they're so nice, heart of gold type of people, but they went through the most tragic moment in their life as a child. And so if I've gone through that, I'll be traumatized too. But they lived their life as best as they can. It's just an inspiration for me. And one of them mentioned, you know, the reason why I'm happy today is because of the KONKO faith. And I was like, that's really great to hear that. It's a good promo. You know, she said just following the teachings of the KONKO faith helps her to be happy. And that's why she's happy today. And she's blessed with all that she's blessed with because the teachings, again, helps us to change our perception. That's what teachings are for. It's to change our perception. It might change it for the moment. It might change it over the years, constantly reminded of it, but gradually it changes our perception. So that trauma, that hurt, that pain gradually gets evolved into something bigger, and we'll be able to see the blessing in whatever occurs in our life. That's the goal. That's the goal. Easier said than done, right? Like we read a lot of good, amazing quotes online from inspirational people, and in other places we see a lot of inspiration in our lives from people, from ministry, from just even our neighbors, and even children inspire us to be better people. And oftentimes though, we forget, you know, we forget. And when I was thinking about the three ladies experiencing war and the death and destruction, the Hiroshima atomic bombs, one thing that came to mind was like, they are strong, you know, to have survived that. And there's a Japanese word called gaman. Gaman. You might have heard this word before, gaman. And so the English equivalent to that, one of my friends, he's in the Army, or he was in the Army, and he was in special operations. And so there's this word they use in the Army when they're going through difficult times. And it's called embrace the suck. Embrace the suck, because sometimes life sucks. Sometimes we go through difficult moments, and they encourage each other, embrace the suck, man, embrace the suck. And so every time I go hiking with my friend who's an Army buddy, he says, embrace the suck, Rodney, suck it up, buttercup. And so, it would motivate us to have this spirit of gaman, to just like, you know, and so what embrace the suck means, there's a meaning to it. It says to consciously accept or appreciate something that is extremely unpleasant but unavoidable. I'm going to repeat that. Embrace the suck means to consciously accept or appreciate something that is extremely unpleasant but unavoidable. And we go through that a lot, I'm sure, right? Unavoidable situations, unavoidable relationships, unavoidable circumstances. We see it all the time. It's a part of human life. It's a part of human history. And so that's how they came up with this phrase. And the Japanese came up with a similar one about gaman. Gaman zuyoi, to be strong and resilient given the circumstances. And when I saw the three old ladies talking about the Hiroshima experience, it's like, wow, they embraced it. They embraced it, learned from it, grew from it. They didn't resent it. They learned from it. They understood the circumstances and the ugliness of war and to not repeat that. So they went in the opposite direction of peace and harmony and to create that within their lives, within their families, within their relationships. And I saw that yesterday during their interviews. And it was really a big inspiration for me. And so many people, we all, every single person, we go through trauma in different ways, right? We experience trauma in different ways. We deal with it in different ways. And so, sometimes this embrace the suck or gaman, it's good for certain times, not all the time. And so sometimes we can't embrace it. We gotta let it out. And it's important as well. Just like going to the bathroom, we gotta let it out. We can't hold it in. It's not healthy for us. And so you might be wondering why I have a broken arm. And so that's kind of what it was. It was, there was a lot of experiences that I experienced over the past year and earlier this year as well that accumulated. And I was just embracing the suck. Things that will heal over time. Time will heal things is what I kept thinking about. That was my prayer. That was the teachings that I kept on repeating to myself. Time will take care of things. People will change gradually. People will learn their own pace, their own speed, and I just gotta gaman and embrace it. And so I was doing that until sometimes there's things that might trigger us because there's pain associated with it. There's trauma associated with it. We all have this thing. Even yesterday during the conference, one of the questions was, how do we deal with our trauma? What do you do about the trauma? And then people discussed various things of what they went through. One of the participants in my group talked about racism. So when he was younger, he used to work at this company, Boeing, and he said he was the only Asian there at the time, and he was picked on and just racism from this one guy. He got along with everybody else, but this one guy would always give him a hard time and be racist towards him because he was Japanese or Asian. And it's like, and right now, it's prevalent with what's been going on with the Asian hate kind of thing, movement going on now, but this is way back when. And so one day he had an opportunity to talk with him over some beers. And then he said that he was deployed he was a Marine at 19 years old, this person who was racist. He was a Marine at 19 years old, and he was deployed to Iwo Jima, Japan, World War II. Iwo Jima was a terrible place to be in the war. The only thing he saw was horrific things every day in Iwo Jima during World War II. Again, death and destruction. So naturally, trauma occurs from that kind of exposure. So he brought that back with him, and he couldn't help but there's a trigger when he sees or experiences a certain thing that reminded him of the war. And at the time, Japanese were the enemy during that era of World War II. So naturally, people will develop a enemy mentality because they were fighting against the Japanese at the time. So this person brought home that mentality. But over time, over the years, they were able to repair that relationship. They were able to get along because he was able to see beyond the superficial. He saw that, he's a responsible guy. He's treating him fine, treating him with kindness. Things are all pretty good. And so in the end, they were really good co-workers, really good. They got along very well. And it was just an inspiration to hear that. And so what he said was, whenever he sees racism on TV or he experiences racism, he says he doesn't take it personally because he says we're not born racist. We're not born discriminating. We learn that through our trauma, through our experiences, through our ups and downs. We learn what not to like and what to like, right? And so he says that the person in our group said that, to think about it objectively, pray, think about why they think the way they do. They must be going through something. And so by having this mentality of why, just kind of questioning and praying for them helps to heal that, and it just creates more understanding. Because in the end, people just want to be understood. People just want to be heard. And so recently, what's interesting is that when I went to Kaiser to get the treatment for my arm, I saw this poster in there. This poster, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's called a Dignity and Respect poster. It's their non-discrimination policy there that they have in Kaiser. And I felt that was totally in line with KONKOsf too. And so what it says is dignity and respect. It says Kaiser Permanente. I'm blessed with the privilege of having health insurance too. You know, it's a huge deal to have health insurance. And I'm just really grateful for these blessings and the opportunity to go to Kaiser to get my treatment. And so Kaiser says, Kaiser Permanente is known for its commitment to diversity and inclusion. We all have the responsibility to treat one another with dignity and respect. Kaiser does not discriminate on the basis of sex, age, economic status, educational background, race, color, religion, immigration status, ancestry, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, marital status, veteran status, or source of payment. Equity and inclusion for all. And so it's that reminds me of what KONKOsf is about. That's what living together with, we got to coexist with each other. Because right now what's being promoted and what's being taught is like me against them. You know, and it's been going on for a long time. So of course that wedge, you know, initially it starts off small, but it adds up over time. And that's when, again, seeing this reminds me, again, you know, I hope it reminds everyone here online, here in the church today, to think about that, to think about how can we coexist with each other and recreate and rebuild this community. That's why we have that sign in the front, in the upper window. You'll see community, unity. Alan Sister came up with that combination word, and I thought it was amazing, because that's what community is about. It's about connecting with, you know, that unity. That's all we have is each other. That's all we have. And so if we don't have each other, what else is there left? Despair, depression, all these other things are happening in society because there's a sense of loneliness. There's a sense of like, I'm alone, I'm working alone. Nobody hears me, nobody listens to me. So what happens is despair. What happens if there's despair? There's pain. What happens if there's pain? There's resentment and unforgiving thoughts. And so what do we do about that? What can we do about that? And so there's this children's book that I heard from recently. It's called Conflict. It's a children's book. And it says, when there's conflict, what do? Talk to each other about it. It's a children's book. You know? And so it's that simple. Just to talk to somebody who can listen unbiasedly, non-judgmental. Hearing somebody out is so healing. It's so healing. And so that's what Toritsugi is for. That's for the function of this church. The reason why we have this beautiful building today that we're in right now, it's been here for 92 years now. Oh, 40-something years, I'm sorry. But 92 years in San Francisco is because of the workings of this corner mediation area. It's a place where people can connect. And so what is mediation, you might ask, right? And so in general, like the quick way to think about mediation is sometimes we pray to Kami directly, right? With our prayers, with our heart, we pray to Kami directly, to the universe. But then Kami needs eyes, ears, and a mouth to hear, listen, to see the people. And they need somebody too. We need that kind of intermediary connection. And that's why it's called Toritsugi, sacred mediation. The ministry here, we're intermediary. We're the ears and eyes to hear and listen, to guide the people seeking mediation. And it's one of the core concepts and the core practices of the KONKO faith to help us grow this understanding of ourselves, to coexist with our problems, to hopefully overcome our problems. So I hope everyone can think about my thoughts for today. And if anybody wants to talk to me later on in private, they could ask me more details about what went on. And so thank you very much for all your attention and your ears. Thank you.